So share with me your thoughts on the advantages of Alibi Cloud BS for multi-user applications.
So multi-user can be broken down a couple of ways, right? So one, we have number of total users for a system. So what a lot of people don't look at is when you look at an on-premise solution, typically there's a user cap in terms of how many credentials you can make. So right away, something that you need to kind of look at is, depending upon the project you're looking at deploying, you want to make sure that you take into account all of your needs, and that's one that often gets overlooked. So the last thing you want to do is put a recorder on site. You need to give 50 people access with their own rules and credentials, and you can only create like 20.
Yeah.
Then you're having to replace that head-end to get the right solution the second time, which is more costly. So with Cloud, we can do unlimited users. Credentials are managed kind of in a central database. It can be a list of, say, 10. It can be a list of 100, 150. It can keep growing. It really doesn't matter to us how many people you want to have access to the camera system. So that right away is a huge advantage to a lot of the on-premise solutions. Secondly, it's concurrent access to a platform. So when I think about accessing an on-premise recorder, I've got to worry about a couple of things. One, there is going to be a bandwidth limitation for the amount of streams that I can actually get pulled out of a recorder. Everything has limits. Nothing's going to be unlimited from an on-premise recorder. So I have to worry about how many streams can come out from a bandwidth, but then there may be a concurrent stream limit. A lot of recorders can only have 16, 32, 64 remote streams. So if I have, say, 4 cameras and I have 20 users, they all want to see them at the same time, that box may only be able to handle 16 streams at once. So only 4 people could log in and actually see the streams at the same time. They would have to wait then to give access to someone else before they could see it. With Cloud, we don't have that limit. So you're accessing the video from the data center, not from the site where the cameras are deployed. So you're using ISP bandwidth to that location, and you're using kind of a multicasted stream technology that allows you to have as many streams online at the same time as you want. So we immediately can see a good fit for places that need a lot of concurrent access. A good one that we do a lot of deployments in since launching is pet boarding facilities. Put your pet in there. That they may have 50 different pet bays for pet hotels. They need 50 people to see their pets while they're on vacation. Granting 50 people access, you've got a large user count, and at the same time, you've got a lot of people that might log in at the same time of the day looking at their animal. If I have an on-premise recorder, one, if it can even handle the user load in terms of the number of people that you can make credentials for. Two, I've got to worry about bandwidth, and the bandwidth is not only what the recorder can pump out of it, but it's also the ISP bandwidth. So when I access that system directly, I am then accessing 50x streams coming out of my site. So if my upload speed at that location is really minimal, there's no way that all 50 people are going to be able to see their pet. It's going to be a horrible experience, and they're going to kind of be questioning, what did I pay for as part of my service?
Exactly.
Like, I wanted to see my dog and I can't see it. And so with Cloud, we don't have that issue. We're going to pump the cameras up one time, and it does take full-time bandwidth to do that, but it's a one-time hit out. It's not a 50-time hit coming out of the building every time they access that.
And that can scale too, right? If you go, look, I want 20, I want to enable 20 users, but then your daycare grows or your pet boarding facility grows, right? And you want to add more cameras on there.
You add a subscription, add a channel, you just put the camera in the new bay, it gets pumped up and it gets added to the system right away. There's no additional on-premise thing to do other than get the camera in place, and then you just turn on the subscription.
Gotcha.
So it makes it easy to expand. And then with that, pet facilities, elderly care facilities. You may want to look at your parents. They may be in an elderly care plan. You want to check in and look. They're going to have lots of rooms. They're going to have lots of user needs. So Alibi Cloud just allows you to do that really easily without having to worry about looking at hardware specs on what recorder you're putting in place.
Right.
In terms of the centralized management of the users, that is where it really comes down to as well. If I'm granting this many people access, obviously if it's like, say, a boarding facility or a daycare, it's a paid service. The moment that dog is picked up or the moment the child is taken out of care, I need to get that credential deleted. I can do that very easily from the console. It's a block user or completely delete user. So it becomes a really fast, easy way for the system admin to maintain all those credentials. especially when you get into the larger counts.
Well, that's critical, especially when you're talking about people viewing, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, if a parent pulls their kid out of a daycare, they absolutely do not want that person having access to view any other children in that facility. So making that super easy to manage is critical.
Correct, and something that I've heard quite a bit is, well, how many people can just use the same login? We'll just make a login for the classroom. And yeah, that's one way to get around user counts on some on-premise reporters. But at the same time, if that parent pulls their child out, you now then have to get rid of that credential, or they still have access to the classroom.
Right, and redistribute
And now you have
a
to
new password
redistribute
and deal with the
everybody
issues
else.
that come with that, with
Exactly.
not getting the email or losing the new password and all this stuff.
It just becomes a maintenance nightmare for the admin to have to do it on a basis when there's a limited number of users that you can grant permission to.
Gotcha.
Again, multi-site for users is a big application. And because it is centralized managed, if you've got daycare facilities, I can grant access. Say you may have kids that go to one location on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. They may get shared with their other parent. They may be in a different part of the city. They go to another facility on Thursdays and Fridays.
Right.
I can grant credentials for both of those locations at one place and take permissions away
To
from
both
one-
parents.
to
Again, that
both parents.
multi-user piece, right?
Correct.
Which is
Both
super easy
parents
to
can
manage.
get that. They get their own credential. I know
Yeah.
that it's tagged. That you can tag that to a child on the notes and the credential.
By
management.
child, by location, by camera if they're only in a specific room.
Exactly. And I'm not having to do that at both locations. I can do it from one management window.
Right. Great. So, when I think about cloud, this is one of the most powerful application studies that we have is multi-user management and the ability to make that experience seamless and powerful because we are pulling from the cloud. We're not putting undue pressure on that local network to support our user base, especially if it continues to grow over time, which is where cloud really becomes scalable and powerful.